Hi everyone, Jesse here, or GameOverGreggy, and today we have a very, very special guest. The person who has influenced this channel more than anyone else, and you can probably tell that because the names are so similar. Please welcome Greg Miller, or as you may know him, GameOverGreggy, ex-IGN, ex-Podcast Beyond host. Did a lot of great things working for IGN, but now he runs his own company, Kinda Funny, with a few of his best friends. Greg, first off, thank you for coming on. I was literally just watching your Twitch stream with the rest of the Kinda Funny guys and noticed you were missing.
Good, now you know why I'm not on it. I'm doing all these podcast appearances for you.
Yeah. I've noticed you've been doing a lot of collaborations lately with larger and smaller YouTube channels, most frequently, I believe, with GameSpot.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure, for a while, I'd been getting requests to come on podcasts, and it was one of those things when I had two jobs, I couldn't do it, because, I'd work all day at IGN, come home and have to do Kinda Funny video stuff, and so I just dropped everyone into a folder called Podcasts to Go On, and finally when I was like, all right, well, January I have one job, so I have no excuse. I wanted to make sure I booked them all out and took care of everybody, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Alright, so before we start, and to let everyone know, you just quit your job.
Right.
You no longer work with IGN. You've started your new company, and in one of your videos, you mentioned that one of the reasons is because you felt restricted in the content you were able to produce on your own channel.
Right, on our own channel. That was the whole thing, is that, and I totally understand that, by the way. I totally understand and respect what IGN was saying, and the fact that it would have been weird for basically their top, the biggest name, their face, whatever you want to call me, I don't know what you call me, one of their biggest hosts, to go out and go home and talk about video games or comic books or movies. That's all stuff I could have generated for IGN, but there's only so many hours in the day, so that's where it got sticky, right? Is the fact that I had so much to say about comics and games or whatever that I felt like I should be able to do that from home, but of course they didn't think I should, which I thought made sense, and then we got to where we are now.
Right, so since you weren't allowed to create competing content on your own channel, were you allowed to collaborate or appear as a guest on other podcasts and videos, or was it sort of a gray area?
They were fine with that. What they were more concerned about was the conflict of interest or confusing the fan, right? Of if Greg Miller on Kinda Funny is talking about PlayStation, then why should I listen to Beyond anymore? Where is, what's his real connection? And then even for them, right, it would have been weird for them to be, well, this is a fun video you did at home and it's doing really well. Why didn't you do that for IGN, right? In terms of coming out and being an ambassador for the brand, which I will be the rest of my life, obviously. I love IGN. That they were fine with. They were fine with me making appearances on other people's content.
As you already know, I'm a huge fan of the Zelda series. You've mentioned playing the games before on your own channel and even had a reaction video for the Netflix series that was leaked. Would you consider yourself to be a huge fan of the series?
That sounds like you're setting me up to tear me apart in the comments. That sounds like he's not a real actual Zelda fan. I am, but it all starts for me with Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time was my first Zelda, because I was a Sega kid. So honestly, the first Nintendo console I owned outside of a Game Boy, that was contemporary, that was I owned it while it was popular, was the N64. And I'll never forget my friend going to Michael Bryan's house, and him and Jason Jason was watching Mike play and fight Ganon, and they were arguing if it was Ganondorf or Ganondorf, and they had this giant argument. And I remember looking at this game being like, this is so stupid, what are you doing? Let's play the wrestling games, what are we doing? And finally I remember I went to a closing of a Blockbuster, and this is in the 90s. This is how bad Blockbuster was. Yeah. That they were closing, and I didn't buy the gold cartridge for $5. And he was like, "You're so stupid. You're gonna regret that decision." And I'm like, "Whatever." And he's like, "No, borrow it." And he gave it to me, and I think he gave me a guide too, just in case I got lost or whatever. Yeah. And I remember it was the night before my ACTs, which are the sister test to the SATs or whatever. And I stayed up to 3 in the morning playing it, and I was just enraptured, blown away, loved it so much, and fell in love. And ever since then, that Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, I'm on board. And I thought, Twilight Princess, I enjoyed and beat. I didn't think it was amazing. It wasn't on the level I thought for the rest of them. And then Skyward Sword, I started into, and I was just like, I can't do this. I hated the Wiimote stuff. I just couldn't do it. I knew it was super long too, and that was still when I was reviewing games. So playing games that I wasn't reviewing was still a luxury. So that was very much I don't have time for this. If I'm not enjoying myself. Now that all said, of course, The most recent one that I fucking loved was Link Between Worlds. Link Between Worlds is so good.
Yeah, A Link Between Worlds was a great game. It took the world from A Link to the Past that everyone has already grown to love and completely made a new game with new experiences and new gameplay mechanics inside that same world that we're all already familiar with. However, I would say my favorite to go back to and introduce to new people of the series would be Ocarina of Time.
It's number 2 for me. Like I still put Metal Gear Solid above it in terms of like, and I think a lot of that's like navel gazing and what emotionally it all means to me. But Ocarina of Time's right there, and Majora's Mask is right up there too. Very, very excited for the Majora's Mask re-release.
Yeah, that was something fans had been asking for ever since Ocarina of Time 3D. It was finally announced. Luckily, I have my pre-order in, so I'm looking forward to playing it.
Nice. You got the little statue?
You know, it's crazy. I was looking on eBay, and just the figure alone was getting close to $150 or $200, thanks to all the scalpers.
Yeah, of course. They're ruining everything. Can't just let us fans have anything.
Moving on to Zelda Wii U, what are some new features and gameplay mechanics that you would like to see included to really set Zelda for Wii U apart from the rest of the games in the franchise?
I mean, the biggest thing for me, I want them to shake up the formula. I think, being somebody who joined so late, and it was all so refreshing to me, Ocarina of Time, and then, Majora's Mask was completely different. But then when you start getting into Twilight Princess, started off, and I'm like, this feels a lot like or even Wind Waker, I'm sorry, too. They all start and feel the same. You're getting your wood sword, your wood shield. This is how you go out, and this is how you do it. It's one of the reasons, obviously, A Link Between Worlds is so great, right? You jump in, you know Zelda, go play these dungeons. It's like, awesome, great. I don't mind like starting off as a lowly whoever in town to become the hero of time. I love that. But just, I want the story to be super different. And so what they've shown, right, with that giant, expansive world, and you see the top of the tower, and you can go to it and do all these different things. I really hope, and I know this is totally hackneyed and the internet's ruined it, but I hope it is Skyrim Zelda. I hope it is that there's, quests to pick up along the way and do different things, and you get lost in that world for hundreds of hours.
Alright, this next question comes from a fan on the Kinda Funny Facebook fan page who asks, in the time of the PS3 and Xbox 360, when console gamers were already expecting beautiful HD graphics, amazing voice acting, and content the size of games like Skyrim, how do you think Skyward Sword managed to get so many 9s and perfect 10s when it was on a console as powerful as the Wii and not even running in HD?
Sure. I mean, Nintendo's entire hook, right, is gameplay. Right. It's making games that are fun to play, and I think when you pair together really great gameplay with really great characters and lineage and history, that's where it all comes down to, right? Like, there's a reason everybody loves Mario. You know what I mean? Because his games are great, and then he continued to be cute, and then Mario 64 comes around, and he's this, cartoon character that you control and does all these different things. The power of nostalgia, and then the fact that nobody makes better gameplay games than Nintendo, from strictly speaking of a video game, what you expect out of them, that speaks to people, and that resonates throughout time. And I think that's one of the reasons people can still go back up and pick up Link to the Past and have a great time with it. You always talk about Nintendo games being timeless, and the fact that whether you're playing Super Mario Brothers on our NES or you're playing, Super Mario Galaxy 2, these are games that are fun and breathtaking and do different things.
This next question comes from a fan on the Podcast Beyond Facebook group. He asks, one of the most controversial topics in the Zelda series is voice acting. Most fans are used to voice acting in games, and it's kind of expected these days. Do you think the Zelda series is being held back by not incorporating it? What are your thoughts on this?
I think they've waited too long and they know it. You know what I mean? I think Zelda, for the rest of time, has to be never say never, right? It'll be the game after this that has Zelda voice acting. But, it's... At this point, they're living storybooks when you play them. And you know what I mean? To give Link a voice at this point would be insane. You know what I mean? All we know is... that's fine. That's good. I can live with that. I don't need anything beyond that. Yeah. And if you... I mean, it's... Then, just, when you think of Zelda, right, you think of gameplay, and you think of music, and you think of the way they use sound, right? When I think of the Gorons, I don't think of a gruff voice. I think of that heavy beat that suddenly comes in, you know what I mean? And
exactly.
The way they communicate without using words, I think, is fascinating, and it's one of those things that's truly a work of art.
Alright, so moving on from Zelda to just gaming in general, what are 2 games for the newest consoles that you're looking forward to the most?
I'm gonna write them down here. So it's for each of the consoles. So X1, PS4, Wii U.
Yes.
And it can just be any time, or does it gotta be super soon?
Just any time. Just
Okay,
coming
good.
out in the future.
That was gonna make it tough for Wii U. No offense. I'm putting Zelda on there for sure.
All right.
Can I put their next, even though it's not announced or anything, their next Mario game, obviously. Their next, like, yeah, okay, there you go. Because that's what I and I think most people buy their Wii's for, right? Your Nintendo products you buy for Nintendo first party.
Yeah, all their
same
first
thing.
Party games.
Exactly. PS4, same thing. I'm putting Uncharted 4 on there. Now, see, then you start getting to exclusives, right? Like, for Xbox, I don't have anything. I don't care about the Halo. No offense to Halo. I totally respect it. It's just not my thing.
Right.
So for X1, I'm going to throw Batman Arkham Knight on. I can't wait for... Are you excited for Arkham Knight?
I am. I skipped Origin, not because of the reviews or because it wasn't the same publisher, just because I played the first one on a PS3 and I played the second one on a PC, and I ended up selling my PC before I was able to play the third one.
Yeah.
And so I've just not been able to. I was hoping...
What happened to PS3?
I ended up selling it when I got the PlayStation 4.
Ah, okay. That's understandable. I've been there. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
So now I need one for Xbox One and one for PS4. And it's one of those things, there's so much stuff coming out. I'm going to put for see, that's a cheat, but I'm going to put for PS4 Hotline Miami 2.
Right.
I'm probably going to play it on Vita, if I'm being honest, but I'm putting it on.
Yeah.
And then X1, they see it. No Man's Sky jumps to mind, but I can't put that obviously on Xbox One. Bloodborne, can't put that on Xbox One. This sounds like I'm ripping on Xbox One. I'm not, I assure you. No, that's shit.
I understand what you're saying. I actually have an Xbox One as well as a PlayStation 4, but the Xbox One just sits there.
Yeah.
Unless it's like Dead Rising 3.
Right.
It's the only game that gets played.
Yeah, like that was my thing. I bought my Xbox One and PS4 right at launch, and a lot of people were like, "Why are you? But you don't need both." And I'm like, "I know I don't need both, but I want both, so I can talk to each one, right?" And it's interesting that for me, and I guess it's not interesting seeing as how I covered PlayStation for so long. I know so much about it. The fact that my Xbox One's my exclusive machine, and I bought it full well knowing that. You know what I mean? I bought it expecting only to turn it on for stuff. I need to play Sunset Overdrive still. I still need to go through the new Titanfall DLC they put out that I thought was really, really cool. I have notes in here where I listed all my games that I wanted to put in my 2015 predictions.
Right.
I'm trying to find it, but it doesn't look like it's going to go well. Crap, I'm stupid. What's the other... God damn it. I have a whole list. But all I'm thinking of is stuff that's exclusive to PlayStation. Hold on. We're opening it in the drive over here.
Alright.
This, I want to give you the real answer here. I'm not going to cop out. I got plenty of games I'm excited for. Hold on, do that. Beyond notes. New notes. Oh, there it is right here. Witcher 3. There you go.
Witcher 3 looks like a really great game.
Witcher 3 looks awesome. And I'm totally one of the fakers who didn't play Witcher 1 or 2, but like Witcher 3 looks awesome. Everything I've seen for it's great. This is the games I'm looking forward to. I have listed here, right? I got Uncharted, Witcher 3, Persona 5, Batman, Firewatch, Hotline Miami 2. I put Dead Island 2 on there just because I'm interested to see what they do. Metal Gear, Below. I want to know what happens with what's the other Dead game? Dying Light. And then I'm interested in H1Z1 next week. You know what I mean? There's a lot of games.
Yeah. Is that a list of games that you personally wrote down so you wouldn't forget about them, or were you making a list for your YouTube channel?
No, that was a list for... I guess technically it was for the YouTube channel. On youtube.com/kindafunnygames, we do a show called the Kinda Funny Games Cast. And so Tim had a topic of what games we were excited for next year. And so it's one of those things you just saw me try to put it together without the list. I knew I needed something, so I wrote them down just so I didn't sound as stupid on that show as I sounded here.
Alright, Greg, is there a game that you loved from your childhood that you're so nostalgic for that you would like to see brought to current-gen hardware? And if so, would you rather see a normal HD port of the game, or would you rather see a full-on HD remake?
Oh man, I mean, I'm about to go through the whole rigmarole of good old games and everything else to get the Ghostbusters version that I fell in love with. Got me into video games, the Sega Master System version. If they could get the rights to that bad boy and put it out, and just just whatever, just put it out. I don't care. Just put it out like every other 8-bit game they put out. That'd be awesome.
Right.
In terms of something like to reboot from my childhood or put it all out there and stunning HD crazy graphics. I don't know. I wish we, as an industry, I like it when we just make new IPs. You know what I mean? Going back and chasing stuff rarely works out super well, right? Like, how many times did they try to redo Spyro and it just didn't work until they put Skylanders in front of it and made it all completely different? Didn't even need them for that.
James White from a Podcast Beyond Facebook group asks, Beyond, how would you react if Sega introduced themselves into the console wars again?
I would laugh so maniacally because it would be like one of the biggest "what the fuck are you thinking" moments. Are you kidding? Like, that I'm a Sega kid. I was, I was through and through the Saturn, and then when the Saturn ruined me, I was like, never again. Right. And it's Sega's. I don't mean to knock them or anything, but it's a sad tale of Sega, right? Where it's just like they lost their footing in that console war and then never got it back. You know what I mean? They never ever got it back, and the stuff that we all loved critically, like Valkyria Chronicles, like that just doesn't happen anymore, right? Like that's not something they can put out and be profitable about. So they keep making Sonic games and then keep doing license work, and it's just like it seems like they've had a really, really rough and tumble career.
And actually, with Sonic, the last game that they released that I was actually excited about was Sonic Adventures for the Dreamcast.
God, you've been waiting a long time then.
Yeah. And, alright, so obviously Nintendo isn't doing as great compared to Sony and Microsoft. Do you think they could pull a Sega and just publish software?
Oh, they know they could. They won't, though, anytime soon. That's what's fascinating about Nintendo, right? Is that they have so much money in the bank, and I don't know. I feel like the Wii was the anomaly that changed the way everybody perceives Nintendo.
Right.
Once the GameCube, once like the N64 era started winding down, you're like, man, nobody's making games for the N64 but Nintendo. Then GameCube came along, and Colin and I argue about this, but the only games like you really had to have on GameCube were the exclusives. Like you were getting PS2 was doing, I thought more interesting things, so I was playing all my third-party games over there, and not on the GameCube. And so, if it's not exclusive, I felt for a long time like, why would you play it on your Nintendo? And I didn't buy a PS3 launch. I didn't buy an Xbox 360 launch. I bought a Wii U day one because a Wii day one because I thought the controller was so revolutionary and being able to do that. And plus, they sold me on the Virtual Console, like because I was a Sega kid, so I missed all these games. And I'm like, yes, I want to play this lineage of Nintendo excellence. I want to see what the hubbub's been all about and do that. And then I want to play, obviously, the new Zelda. I want to play the new Marios. I want kart. I want golf. I want all these things. And so that's what I went into. And then when it exploded and everything was trying to do it, it's like, well, I wouldn't play any of those other games on my Wii. And now with the Wii U, it seems like, it's almost like if you look at the Wii U, you can almost put your hand over everything that happened with the Wii and see the transition from GameCube to Wii U. And for me, it's the same thing. I finally got a Wii U when we got close to Mario Kart, and I knew I'd want it for Smash. And so that's what I have out there. That's what I have. What I play on my Wii U. That's the whole reason I do it and play what I play. It's just because I want those experiences.